Hi, this is Lori and welcome to my series on adventuresome soldering. This is the second part of the Make Your Uno kit. In this part we're going to make the Uno, the Arduino Uno. And I just like to remind everybody that I'm a beginner at soldering, so I don't always show the best approach. I'm trying to learn and experiment with different approaches as I progress in my skills. So if I can't be a good example, I'll just have to be a horrible warning. And here's the Uno that we're going to build today. It's a lot to solder on. It's some components that I've never soldered before, but it's all through hole, and I think it's going to go okay. And I'm going to get a chance to debut my new PCB holder that I got. I did not make a mailbag for this because I was so super excited to get it that I opened it up and started using it for this project. So you'll get to see that. And that turned out to be, it was a pretty cheap item I got on Amazon, but I've seen another YouTuber use it. And I thought it would be very handy for this project. So let's get going making our Uno. First step is to start working on the resistors right here. And there's 5 1 kilo ohm resistors, and we don't really need to use our multimeter because we can use our little keychain that has the 3 types of resistors that are going to go here, so we can just check and make sure that we have the right ones using that. So that's kind of fun. So I've got them here, and I'll just show putting one of them in, and I'm going to follow the directions exactly on which ones to put in. So we'll go like this, slide them in, and getting a chance to use my new flippy board. So we'll put the 1 kilo ohm in and then flip it over and have it in place. Alright, so I'll do the rest and then we'll solder. Okay, got them in here. You can see, bent back. And I'll flip it around here. I'm leaving it loose enough that I can flip it back and forth. I'm hoping it'll be strong enough. And let's tin up a little bit on this tip, just a little bit. Make sure it looks good, and it does. All right, we'll turn on our absorber, and I'll solder a couple for you. That looks pretty good. I'll come back when I have the rest of them done. Okay, got them all done. Oh, that release is pretty nice. I'm enjoying using this. I didn't open this on one of my mailboxes because I was just so excited to to get a chance to use it. It was only about $15, so I'm really pleased with it. These arms are plastic, but the rest of it's metal. So just a little, and this is plastic too here. So how long this will hold together, I don't know, but for the price, I think it's okay. So let's get these clipped off. And it came out pretty easily. That was one thing I was wondering is, how easy was it going to be to get the board in and out. I mean, of course, if I wasn't recording all this, I wouldn't have that concern. There we go. I'm going to pull these up and clip them more like that. There we go. And like that. And this last one. Alright. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, I got the 1 mega ohm and the 1 kilo ohm on here, and fold it back. So we'll solder those in place. Around. up. Yeah, it is. I wiggled a lot. Hands are a little wiggly today too. Alright, let's just take a quick look at this one. And I'll snip them up and put them in place. Yeah, that looks great. So that gets our resistors in there. All right, next up is the diode. D1 diode goes here. And it's polarized. I've never put this kind of a diode on before. But it's very nice. It shows us the little white band here and here, so we know how to line it up, and that's the negative side of this diode. So yeah, we'll bend it into place. And we'll solder that in. Okay, make sure we get the band right. Band goes to that side. Oops, gotta go in the holes. There we go. There, alright. Got the band right. I'll flip it over and pop that back. Pop that back too. Okay, so we're ready to solder that. Do this all in one take, I think. Flow very nicely. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, let's just take a quick look and see how that came out. Let's just clip it off while we're here. Yep, there it is, all in. Okay, next up is the crystal. It goes in here at the Y1 spot. So we'll just pop that in and flip it over and bend it back. Looks good. And I don't think that's gonna go in, that's not gonna come out crooked, so I think I don't have to worry about, you know, kind of making sure it's flat. I think it's going to be fine. All right. Just go ahead and heat that up. Put that on too. All right. Easy peasy. Wow. When I first got this kit, I was a little intimidated by how many parts there were and wondering if I could really solder it all. So yeah, I'm feeling much more confident in this kind of soldering. So yeah, all this practice has really worked. Well, maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself, but anyways, got that done and we can go on to the next step. Okay, next up are the 3 yellow LEDs. They go into these spots. So I have one more. They have a little plus here on this side. So that's the long leg would go to the plus. So we'll follow that and push it in and crank it back. There we go. All right, this is one where I'm going to try to get them nice and flat if I can. So I'm going to put just on one side and then adjust it. Let's give that a go. There we go. And then I'm going to kind of tilt it this way, I think. And just try to make sure. Well, that one's actually pretty straight up and down. And I might reflow it just a little bit here. get it? Yeah, I think that's straight up and down now. Right. And I'll do the other ones and come back. Okay, they look pretty nice and straight. So we can clip them up and move on to the other. I think there's one more LED that we need to do. It's a green one, I guess the power light. Oops, didn't hold on to that one. Alright, we'll go on to the next step. Okay, got the last LED. And the plus is on this side, so we'll slide that in. That is the on light, it says. These little ones are a little hard to flatten because they just don't have much surface to be flat against. So we'll try to use our same strategy. A little bit in there, and then have a look and see. Oh, it's pretty straight as it is. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it. Just do the other side and clip it up. Alright. Pop it off. Take a look. Raise up just a little bit. A little bit more of that. Maybe a little bit more of this one. Yeah. Okay. Next up is the these little capacitors. They have a 220 on them, and they go here in this middle area, C4 and C5. So I got one of them in already, and I'll put the last one in. They kind of have little shoulders on them, so I'm gonna kind of try to get them in tight. Yeah, all right. And I'm not going to worry about them being straight or anything because I think they bend straight up if we need them to. Look how that one flowed, but they flow really smoothly. Oh, maybe my hook has got a little dirty. I feel like maybe. Yeah, that's it. There we go. That's much better. I'm not sure. But looks good enough. Let's take a look. That's what I meant. They can always be bent to straighten them up. There they are. Button switch is next. And you can see what it looks like there. And it goes right here. And put it in. And it's not gonna, I mean, I think it would almost stay, but just to make sure it gets good and flush, I'm gonna use some of my high temp tape on it. Here, well, I'll try not to mess up my high temp tape here. As best I can. That's good enough. Just need to get it down here. Around that. There, get it good and in place. Alright. There we go. And so it's going to be right down here. I may slide this back just a little bit so it's more in the center, yeah, of the field of vision. And we'll turn this on. Turn this up a little bit. Put the iron good and ready. And I'm just going to heat that up and try to feed in some solder. That worked well. Pick that one up. Feed in some solder. Okay. to this side. Maybe get it hot enough on that side. Come at it from the other angle here. There we go. Excellent. I think we got it. Pretty good. And just take our tape off. And yeah, it looks nice and flush. Excellent. Okay, that's the switch. Okay, next is the USB-C to serial adapter board. And it's going to go right in here. And goes through. It's not going to stay when I flip it over, so I'm going to again use my tape. I'm going to tape it down so it'll stay on the board. And maybe we'll go right over the top of that, that there. And, we'll go that way. Get it on there tight. I want it to stay down. Alright, so that's where we're going to work. I'm going to move this down just a little bit so we get to the center. And let's get this one done. So I usually do corners first. So I'll heat up that side and get some solder. And then we'll do the other corner. And then we'll just make a double check to make sure it's flat and up against, because at this point we could reflow those two and push it back through if we had it wrong. So that looks good. So I'm going to finish that up and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I got it all connected in, and I can take off the tape now. It should be in good shape. It looks like it's nice and flat to the surface. Yeah, I think we've got it. Okay, we're putting in one of the MOSFETs. There's two components that have kind of this shape, an LDO and this one, and they painted it white so you would not mess up. And it goes right down in here. So, and you know, we just make it match the shape, so don't have to guess how to orient it. Put it down. These don't usually go all the way to the board, so I'll just do that and give it a little bit of a bend, I guess, just so we can kind of work around it. Yeah, I think that looks all right. And we'll get that soldered up here. I'm just going to check and make sure it's not too cockeyed or something. There we go. All right. Take a look. Oh yeah, guess that looks fine. I wish I could. I seem to always go the wrong direction when I'm trying to center it, but yeah, there we go. Yeah. So I guess we can snip this off. Oh, and I was going to show that I didn't do it on camera, but I did trim the legs of the USB board, the USB to serial board. It did tell us to do that. They're pretty thick, but I was able to clip them. They're just hard to keep from flying all over the place. And I did actually trim up the button switch a little bit too, since it seems like we're trying to keep this relatively flat. Because I thought they'd just keep the board, because those are pretty hunky, but they're all done. We'll do the other one with the same shape, the LDO, low dropout regulator, I guess is what that stands for. And it goes right in here at U2, and we have to match the shape. Let's try to get that in there. Push it down. It feels pretty far in, as far as we're going to get it, I guess. And I'll go ahead and wiggle that into space. I guess that's good enough. All right. Okay, I think we got that one. Give that a trim. We're starting to fill up the holes now, so maybe we're certainly getting closer. Next we're going to do these capacitors. We got 2 of them, and they go right in here, and the long leg and the side that has the little minus on it goes towards the minus here, so we'll do that and flip it over, push it out a little bit. Looks good. And again, the minus to the minus, short leg, and like that, and like that. And those look pretty good. Alright, let's get them soldered on. Tin up my tip just a little. Go. Alright, pop that off and clip it up, and we'll take a look at it. Hopefully they got on there pretty straight. Looks like they did. And we can clip them down as well. There we go. Back's looking all right. Now the these the 100 nanofarad capacitors. We have 6 of them. They're the 6 little rectangles on here that we are going to do. I'll load one in here and bend it back and get the other ones loaded in. Well, they stay pretty good. So I'm going to get all of them loaded, and then we'll come back and solder them. Alright, I've got them all set up in place. And they're pretty tight and firm to the board, so I'm not going to worry too much about them getting cockeyed or something. I'll do a couple and then probably speed through the rest of them. There we go. Let's get that hot. Alright, so I think I got them all. There's quite a few to solder, so just making sure I didn't miss any of the legs. Looks like I got them all, and they all are on there pretty good. So I'm doing a quick check to see if I missed any holes. Doesn't look like it. Looks pretty good. Okay, next up is the 5 volt LDO, low dropout regulator. We already did the one 3.3 volt one. Well, that's a pretty meaty item. It goes right in here, and then we're supposed to bend it back till it lays up against this, and this little spot will mount into here with a bolt and a screw. I mean, a screw and a nut, I should say. So I'm going to bend it back like that so that it lays flush. Okay, and it'll line up with that. Alright, I think that's going to be right. This is definitely going to take some tape. and keep it in place. Flip it around to solder it right there. It feels pretty good. I think that'll work. All right, let's tin it up. Just make sure we got plenty on there. And we'll do one and then see how it goes. So yeah. All right, let's look at it. Make sure it looks all right. Yeah, it's still lined up with the hole, so I think that's okay now. And we'll just come across and catch the next one. Okay. And then the last one here. All right. Take a look at that. I've never soldered one of those before. And I've never laid something down like that. I've seen people do different kinds of things with resistors, but yeah, I guess that's going to work. And that's how it looks on the other side. Now we're ready for the socket for the AT Mega 328P chip. I'm just checking to make sure they're all straight. Okay, I just made sure I got the notch matched up here again, and I put some more tape on here to hold on to it a little bit better. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll do the two corners, and we'll make sure it's flush. Good, so we'll do this one. Right, now I'm gonna tilt it just a little bit and press right there on the tape just to make sure it's good and flat. Yeah, okay. That looks good. And that side looks pretty good, so we'll go ahead and get this corner over here. Put in some as well. I'm not sure. There it is, okay. Some solder here. Alright. Well, I'm going to finish up and come back when that's done. Okay. Use my magnifying glass just to see a little bit better while I finish that up. And I think it came out alright. Put that to the side and looks okay, and it's nice and flush. So I think it's good. All right, it's time for the headers to go in, and it just shows you soldering them on, just flipping it over. But I've always used breadboards, and then I'll show you with the small one. I used some pins to just kind of put it in place here. Hopefully I didn't lose my spot. Yeah, that's correct. So that'll keep it pretty flat, and then I think I'll solder just one and make sure I've got it flat on both sides with my hand. I think that's what I'm going to do, because it pops up just a little bit. Don't like that. Maybe a little tape would hold it flatter. Interesting idea, maybe. We could do that. Tighten it on. Just needs a little help, and then that should make them more straight by doing it that way. I've made my share of leaning headers, so I spent some time thinking about this, so. I'm just going to take a look and make sure these look straight before I go any further. Because I could probably wiggle them just a little bit, and I can see I don't have this one all the way flat over here, so I'm going to reflow that and push it down a little bit. Alright, so let's get it back in place. And this is the one I want to reflow and push down. Okay, I'm going to try pushing this one down a little bit more too. Yeah, I think that helped. Yeah, that looks a lot better now. Okay, now I can finish them up. Alright, I finished it up. Pull out my little extra headers that I used. I've got these ones that are long on both sides. Very useful for that kind of thing. And where's still my end? Yeah, look at how nice and straight those are. Flush to the surface. So yeah, being patient and doing the ends first allows you to reflow and get things pushed down to the board. I mean, that's definitely something I've learned on this journey that I wasn't doing before. So that's a real eye-opener for me. I put a fair amount of solder on here, just thinking that there's a lot of plugging in and out we'll do with this Uno. So yeah. Okay, that was a major piece to get put on. It's really starting to look like an Uno, isn't it? Well, my vise is not going to be more useful anymore because the last couple things I got to put on are on the edges. And these are the only two spots I can clamp anymore, so I'm just going to work with my my helping hands base and my little clippies a little bit. And the next thing that goes on is this, and it goes with the pins up so we can access them. So if you flip it around, looks like it would go like this, and it's flush if we put it like that. So I think I'm going to just kind of wedge it in here with these pieces. Maybe move that one to over here. Yeah, that's in good. And we'll solder that up. So let's give that a go. Turn that up a little bit. There. And again, I'm going to just do one and make sure I've got it in, because I can always fix it now. It's not, that's good and flush. Yeah, so we got it. We just need to have it wedged a little bit so we can just, doesn't move on us. Yeah. And we'll finish it up. Alright. Let's take a look at that. There we go. That seems to be on good and sturdy. Well, the last thing to solder is the power jack here. So I took my tape and really tried to wedge it on here to get it on tight. So it'll be flush. As flush as I can make it. Alright, so I'll just gonna put it down like that, I guess, and wedge it in. Some of my little holders here, and yeah, okay, let's give it a go. I think if I was doing a lot of things with big pieces like this, I would get a different tip, but I don't really feel like letting the iron cool down and get a whole different tip, so I'm going to try to just sort of put it sideways like this and hopefully feed in a fair amount of solder. Oh, that worked pretty well. Try from the other side here. Kind of what I did last time. I'll come and catch some more over here. I think that went pretty well too. Okay. Hopefully it stayed in place. Didn't pop up or anything. And it didn't. That looks great. Take the tape off. And I think that's all the soldering to do with this Uno. Wow, it looks pretty good. Now I think all we need to do is put our chip in. Well, I was really struggling getting the chip in, and I guess I didn't hit the record button. I really spent some time slowly working the legs in. I've never put a chip in that has this many legs before, and it was hard to get them all lined up. I had to really squeeze them together a little bit to get them to go in there. So that's a step that you don't think is going to be as hard as it was. Maybe I was just nervous about ruining it, but you can see I've got the notch here with the notch, so that's really important too. But that's our Arduino, and now we're ready to do a test of this. Well, it's time to test this Uno out and make it go. So I have a little sketch that was provided in the instructions to test out all the pins, and what we're going to do is set them up as outputs and then write them high and low. Every second it'll switch back and forth. So that's what that does, and I already have it loaded in, so you can see it's flashing that one as well. So that's great. So now let's, I'm going to move over here and I'll be a little bit out of the way. So I want to be able to see my monitor. So here's our debug little circuit that we put together. So we'll plug the black into one of the ground pins, and then I'll plug into pin 0 here, and hopefully we'll see it flashing every second. And then you can go to the next pin and check that one. Well, I've done that. I've checked all the pins and they all work. So, woo, that's so exciting. So I think my Arduino is working correctly. Then the last thing it suggested doing was to check the power to this. So we'll flip it around here. And we'll take it out of here. And we'll see that on here, there's a ground and a VCC. So this will be a little challenging for me to hold on to at the same time. Hoping I can do that. Maybe I'll try to do it like that. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see me do it, but anyways. Yeah, getting that so that we can see it. There we go. So I'm going to touch the ground and the VCC, and hopefully we can see it turning on and off. You can just barely see it. It's a little challenging for me to get this all and not have it slide away on me. But yeah, that's working too. So yeah, it's all the tests. It passed all the tests. So we could use that as an Arduino and start programming it around. So next step is to make the synthesizer, and we'll do that in the next episode. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of soldering my own Uno. And as always, I want to thank you for watching.